Hey guys, it's Chris Chalk here with Team Overdrive. I came 14th in UK Nationals, going X and 2. It was a good day overall, but we'll just go straight into the deck profile.
Hey guys, Red Flash here, and today I'd just like to go over some of my core memories that I've got from playing Vanguard over the years, as well as sort of where it led me from my card game experience. So first off, I want to talk about how I got into the game. So in school, my friend was like, hey, when I come to this local card shop, we could play Pokemon, like as in the DS game. So, you know, one day in like 2011 or 12, I go to this local game store, no clue where it is, just get told, play some Pokemon, go home. Then, a year later, another friend says, hey, I'll play some Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, I don't have any cards. Oh, well, we've got a local game store. We could, you know, you can go get a deck and we can play some games. So I was like, okay. So I went to my local game store, picked up a, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Star deck with the one of the musicians and Utopia, because obviously Utopia was in like every Star deck. And very quickly found out it was a little bit too complicated for me, and it was like battle step, damage calc. What? I was like, no. Chains? No. And then, but my other friend, who had come with us at the time, he on the Saturday when I would go in and play some Yu-Gi-Oh, he would be playing a game called Vanguard, and I was like, okay, that looks kind of cool. So what did I do? Anime time. The anime is actually the anime was insanely good for teaching the rules of Vanguard. It was actually insane how well it taught me the rules. Because I never got given a lesson on how to play Vanguard. I just watched the anime and I knew how to play. So with that, I traded my I think it was like a something hedgehog. It was like a tuner. Cool plot hedgehog or something, a some synchron and a black red tour guide, which was money at the time, I didn't really know, for a shitty Nova Grappler deck, and boom, started playing Vanguard. Played a few games, really, like I was really enjoying it, really vibing with it, and you know, before long I traded that really bad Nova Grappler deck, had maybe like one, maybe two triple rares, and that was it, to a person called Scott at my locals, who is known for absolutely negging himself on trades. He took my really bad Nova Grappler deck because he wanted a couple cards out of it, and he gave me a Tsukiyomi deck, which I'll put on screen here. And this thing, oh, it's bad. Look at it. 2 heals, no PGs. Yeah, it wasn't great. But it's got me started. And from there, that's where it all began. So, early Vanguard days, which was pre-limit break, I was new to the game, just learning it, playing in locals just because it was fun. The game was fun. I would win games. You know, people were overall not that great at the game, and it was just fun. Sometimes I'd borrow a deck. I remember borrowing a Eternal Idol Pacifica deck from a friend and topping 3 weeks in a row with it. Just having fun with TCGs and just playing casually because I wasn't really that competitive at the time. But then along came my first Nationals. So 2014 Nationals rolled around. My first Nationals, I was so hyped to play. I was playtesting the night before. I borrowed my friend's Remiel Verse deck, because with 2014, obviously, we had the Invasion, which was, you know, Link Joker had decided airing. I think we got up to BT 13, so we had, you know, Cray versus Link Joker. They were clashing, so that was the theme. It was between the team of 3, because it was Team League. You had to decide whether you were playing as Cray, so not any deck that didn't include a reverse card, or Link Joker, which would include Link Joker and any deck that included reverse cards. And that was an interesting concept, to be honest. I mean, we've never seen it since, but it was very interesting, to say the least. And I decided to go with... my team decided to go with Link Joker, you know, the Invaders. And I decided to borrow a Ramio Reverse deck from my friend. Now, I was excited the night before, you know, as any kid would be for the first Nationals. I was playtesting on my bed, and the morning of, I made sure I triple checked my card count, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and for somehow I can't count to 50. I don't know how, but I counted it twice before we got in the car, and I counted it again while in the car. No trigger. I was missing a critical trigger. I was like, no, it's got to be somewhere. It's got to be in the bag. It's got to be in the box somewhere. I've counted this deck like 2-3 times. How have I lost this? Get to the event, can't find it. No one has it, because why would they? No one has a random Angel Feather critical trigger on them. that's all at home in their bulk. So I went around the event hall, traded for some great Dayushas so I could play my Dayusha reverse deck, which I had, and we scrubbed out. I mean, I wasn't that great at the time, neither was my team. Like, we were very, I was new to the game, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the experience. I really enjoyed going around tables, playing with different people. It was really fun, and going to different cities was really good. And, well, as you can see, I found it. It appeared down the side of my bed. Don't playtest on your bed, kids. You'll lose cards. But it was fun. It was funny. The deck was returned to the person, all fully built, and it was fun. With the end of 2014, we saw the release of G. We'd seen the new season in the anime. We started seeing some of the cards. We got the trial decks, and obviously in England, we got all three at the once. We got trial deck G, trial deck 1, G trial deck 2, and my favourite, G trial deck 3, which introduced my to-be favourite clan in the game. It obviously didn't introduce it, it just made it a main character, which meant it was going to get consistent support now. Not like once every year or once every 6 months. Consistent support, because it's a main character. Now, I realised that wasn't great for my wallet as a child at the time, and that's where, with Neo Nectar, I found a deck that I really enjoyed. I liked the art style, I liked the play style, and it just went from there. Now, obviously, in the back of my folder, I have my Victini collection, but also I have a collection of cards that are just special to me, or just kind of look cool, and which involves this. You can't see because it's flipped, but I will flip the footage in. I'll try and flip the footage. This is my Secret Rare Archer from GBT06. It was expensive at the time. It was not cheap, but it's a card that I have fond memories of. It reminds me of G, which was early G, which is I really enjoyed the early G format, and it will just stay in the back of my folder. I will never sell it. I have no intention to sell it unless I absolutely have to. Not that it would be probably worth much, but alongside that, we have a original Trial Deck Blaster Blade. An original Trial Deck Blaster Blade, which, isn't special, it's not pricey, it's not a collector's item, but it's the first Trial Deck. It was the first Trial Deck in the game, and it's just reminded me of where I started. And then the last card that I have in the back of my folder for Vanguard, specifically, obviously I have a whole folder full of Neo Nectar cards, which is my entire Neo Nectar collection. The last card is an SP Battle Riser. An SP Battle Riser. Again, not really a collector's item, in fine condition, but I don't have it for the collectability. I have it because this Battle Riser, this one right here, it's a slut. It has been around my entire locals. I've owned it. Obviously I own it now. I owned it, but I've owned it once before. The person I mentioned before, Scott, has owned it. Every person I can think who was ever a consistent player at my locals, at one point owned that card. It went around the whole locals, and that's why I've now kept it, because it just reminds me of those times where things were simpler. I didn't have to worry about coronavirus. I didn't have to worry about anything else. It was just me, my friends, card games. So my next big event. I had just come off from 2014 Nats. I was raring to go. I was ready to keep playing competitively. So I convinced my parents to take me to the 2015 Nationals. And because at the time I was a clan loyalist, I played nothing but Neo Nectar, and GBT04 had just come out, I decided I'll take Neo Nectar to my second Nationals and my first singles Nationals. Did I do well? I came top 100 in, I think it was about 400 players, which obviously most people isn't an achievement, but to me at the time was, wow, I did pretty well. I went on it was 9. I went on an X4 score. I went X4 in the tournament, so I had to do a bit of maths there. X4 in the tournament, so it was 5 wins, 4 losses, and that's nothing special, it's nothing to celebrate, but to me that was, it was good. My first singles, my first time playing completely alone, and I enjoyed it. And I couldn't get it while at the event, because by the time I finished the event, obviously the whole convention was closed. So I gave my friend a £10 note to go ahead and get me this at the convention the next day. Which, again, nothing special, it's just a Tokyo deck box. But it just reminds me of that my first single nationals, sort of the first big event I'd went to. Now, the next part of our story takes us to Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is quite a roundabout way. Basically, when I started playing Vanguard, I enjoyed it because anyone could win. You could get that miracle trigger off the top, and defeat your opponent with that critical or that clutch 6 damage heal. But give it a few years and give that competitive nature in me to start brewing, and that was no longer a good mechanic. I was like, God damn it! I just lost this game to a 6 damage heal. I just spent 15 minutes. I just spent like 5 minutes working out what the top card of my deck is in my Magus deck, because my Stellar Magus needs this 5k to hit this Vanguard. I spent 5 minutes figuring out what the most mathematically likely target in my deck is to call. I got it right, but my opponent won because they got a heal. That wasn't vibing with me anymore. So I started looking into Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was the second biggest game at the store I played on Saturdays. My friend Joseph would always play it. I thought maybe this will be more competitive for me. So I started looking into it, started dabbling, played some decks. I'd gone in and out of it before. I'd picked up Gear Gear. I tried to pick up E-Heroes when that came out with the Dark Hero, or Masked Heroes. I didn't keep that for long. I wasn't really vibing with the deck. And then in 2017, mid 2016, I picked up a Blue Eyes deck from my cousin, which Blue Eyes had just won the World Championship, and I'd been playing the deck from my friend for a while, so I thought I'd pick it up and try it out. This is where I started to sort of diverge. I stopped playing Vanguard as much, and I started focusing more on Yu-Gi-Oh!, trying to learn, get better, and get to a point where I could go to regionals and start topping them. Now this is where, like with Vanguard, I still played competitive. I tried when I could. Obviously Vanguard doesn't have that many tournaments a year. Vanguard had like 2 tournaments a year. So I wanted that drive of competitive format. So that's where Yu-Gi-Oh! Came in. I would play regionals, and I'd play test on Dueling Book and stuff like that. And then obviously when Vanguard came around for nationals, I'd pick up a deck, start testing, and then play nationals. Which brings us to 2017. 2017 is my favorite nationals. It was my favorite format, and I spent so long on that Luard deck list that I thought, honestly, I can look back at that event, and I can think about each round. I can't remember each round, but I can think back to generally each round, and there was nothing wrong with the deck. I wouldn't be able to tell you any part of that deck I would change. I tested the deck for 3 months, week after week, changing slight ratios, trying out new things, tried loads of different starters, I tried loads of different ratios, I tried 1-ofs, I tried 2-ofs, I tried different grade 3 lineups, I tried just loads of different combinations of deck lists, until I landed on the one I wanted to play for nationals. So I took it, and then round 1 I completely grade stuck on grade 2, and just round 1 was not a good start at all. But it didn't finish there. I came back round after round. I didn't lose a single round for the rest of that day, ending that day 1 X1, losing 1 round and winning 6. I was pumped. I made it to day 2. All I had to do was win 2 rounds. All I had to do was win 3 rounds. Best of 3 as well. There was an even better chance of winning. And I was pumped. I went to bed, prepared for the next day, played a little bit beforehand, woke up in the morning. I then swiftly lost to a Dark Regular player, who then later came 3rd, so I don't feel too bad about it. But it came pretty close. Took him to game 3, but unfortunately didn't quite get it. I then won my next 2 rounds, and came 14th. My play could have probably been better, but my deck list couldn't have. I honestly believe I had the best Luard deck list in the room. While I may not have piloted to a top 8, because Bushiroad fucking hates top 16. That's not the point. I made top 16, which in my eyes, for I think it was about 300, 400 person event, I topped. And I had great memories. I, met up with Hal, took this amazing photo with the MVP of the deck, Bilal. God, what a card. What a card. And honestly, I would never take it back. But coming out of 2017, we got the announcement of the reboot with the first V-Boost set in mid 2018. I didn't vibe with it. Markers, like, the game was simplified, and like, while it was interesting to have a simplified game, the markers just made it so boring to me. I didn't enjoy the game. Oracles is by far the best deck because getting a protect mark to every turn was just so good. In the case split I'd gone for Nova Grapplers, which just wasn't up to scratch, and I just didn't like the way the game had gone. And considering all my cards were now useless, like all the cards I had built up a collection with were now useless, I was like, well, I don't want to play anymore. Because Premium wasn't really a format. Premium hasn't been a format for a while. Like, it's starting to build up speed now, but back then it wasn't that big. So I sold up, kept all my Nectar stuff because I had so much I have so many SPs that it just wasn't worth how much I would sell it for. People would not buy it at full price. People wouldn't even. I tried to sell it like at a quarter of the price a couple years ago, and the guy wouldn't buy it. So I've kept it, and now it's just going to be a collection. I've accepted that I'm not selling it, and that's fine with me. So I now spend most of my time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! But this year, with lockdown and picking up Zero not long after, I was back in the game. I've now picked up Spike Brothers. I now own non-green cards. Blasphemy, I know, right? But the game has captured me again, and with watching content creators and now live stream on Twitch, I'm back in, and I really want to start playing the game again. With Overdress, Overdress looks like a better reboot than V was, because not only is it completely new cards and not just riding on the coattails of famous older units, it's actually like the star decks are amazing, and the game doesn't look like it's going to go straight into a simplified format. I am, however, worried about the power gain, the guarding, because obviously they brought all the guards down just across the board and stuff like that. But we'll have to wait and see. Not everything is revealed yet. So overtriggers are literally the culmination of everything I hate about Vanguard. But let's not talk about that. The last thing I want to talk about is 2019 Nats. 2019 was obviously the year before lockdown, and I would always go to Team League if I had a team. So I messaged my buddy Hal. I was like, yo Hal, I want to come back and play the Team League. Want to team with me? But yeah, sure, I've got a guy. So he bought his guy, I bought myself, and this was the release of Premium Collection 2019. What a set. Now obviously I wasn't keeping up with Vanguard. I didn't know what the meta was, I didn't know what any cards did, all I knew was what my green cards did. I read Katrina, and I was like, hey, my card's pretty good. Ah, your card is also good with this. Gladiolus, because I now don't have to draw it. You just search out my deck. Who would have thought a toolkit-esque card would be good for Neo Nectar? So I didn't know anything about the deck. I wasn't keeping up with the game. I didn't know it was topping in Japan. I didn't know what it was doing. I was like, okay, well, I'll throw together a list. On the day, and I'll put up my list here. On the day, I played some weird cards, some weird one-offs, because I thought they had some use. Obviously, I never went into them. I just literally stroked Katrina and won. But how was I to know? So, going into the day, I would sit down, look at my opponent's sleeves, be like, okay, Hal, what does that deck do? Literally, I think I did that every round except for maybe 2. Swiss. I was like, Hal, what does this deck do? Hal, what does this deck do? But we won. I think we went X1 in Swiss, coming 3rd overall, and it was amazing. I had finally topped a Vanguard event after nearly 8 years of playing the game. I'd finally topped an event. I'd only lost 1 round in Swiss. I had absolutely dominated my final round playing against a Geese deck. I was like, I know exactly what this deck does. I didn't take any damage at all. I literally didn't take a single damage. I got every attack, and Katrina just won because Katrina didn't need damage. And my Hal looked over, saw me taking damage from Geese. He was like, oh no, he's just lost. I was like, oh no, I was just going to see what I was taking. I won. And we had topped. We went to top 8. We beat our first round opponent in top 8. Top 4. I faced the man, Maxine Solon, who probably doesn't even know who the fuck I am. I probably doesn't remember who I am. But he didn't have that great a hand, but I just could straight up beat him down. But my teammates lost, unfortunately. And then we lost again in top 4. But I top 4'd. And I've got a certificate to prove it. And it was amazing. Now, obviously, these days, I'm kind of in between the 2 games, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Vanguard, but Vanguard is what got me started. It brought me out of my shell. I was a shy kid who only had a couple friends, but through Vanguard and TCGs in general, I'm social. I've made friends through Yu-Gi-Oh! I was on a team of my friends and myself, and I can't believe it. I mean, look, here I am hosting my school's Battle of the Bands. If you had told me when I was in year 8 that I'd be doing that, please, I'd have laughed at you. But card games helped me with that. Card games helped me come out of my shell and talk to people. And now I stream on Twitch pretty consistently, talking to random people every day. And it's great. Vanguard may not be the perfect game, and it may have its problems, but it's what started my journey. So I hope everyone who watches this video or will watch this video thinks, if they're thinking about picking up a TCG, do it. It may be expensive, but you'll make friends along the way, make absolutely amazing memories, and it will improve your life. So, with all further ado, please enjoy every video I create, and I'll be sure to create more. Thank you all for watching. Happy 10th anniversary, Vanguard.
No, hey, that's pretty good.
You're good.